What do you think? Burn rubber on me, Gap Band? Why you want to hurt me? I mean, the Minimoog is the consummate, funky synth bass. And you saw that I demonstrated it on different synths, so you can hear the difference. And there's benefits on some of the other synths too. And I'm going to show you, the simple sound on the Minimoog. And it's all about, getting the sound and playing it and making that part fit in the music. You can make a lot of sounds on different synths. You don't always need the same synth to do it. And I'm going to show you some of the cornerstones for me of synth bass. So what it comes down to for me, this is kind of my go-to, is the square wave on the bottom and then the higher octave, a sawtooth. And I do that almost all the time. And the reason I do it is because the square wave sounds bassier and it doesn't have as many harmonics. And so when I put the sawtooth in there, I'm leaving room for the bass, and then there's an octave before the sawtooth starts with its harmonics. And it gives me the best of both worlds because I can get some teeth on it from the sawtooth, so to speak, but I still maintain that like a little bit of boom, a little bit of bass to it. So let me bring you guys in and let's take a closer look at the panel of the Mini. Starting with Oscillator 1, I'm showing you the square wave, and it's a 32-foot stop. These are correlated to organ bass pedals, so that's why it shows like 32, 16, 8, 4, and 2. Those are the footage of the pipe. So a 32-foot pipe would make a really low tone, and then a 16-foot pipe, it's half as long, so it gives you the octave. Okay, so if you go back in here, we can see that the square wave, this is the waveform selector, selecting a square wave. This is triangle, slightly distorted triangle, a little more harmonics on that, and then sawtooth waveform, square, pulse, and skinny pulse. Okay, so I like square at the low frequency. And then we go to Oscillator 2, 16-foot, which is a little bit, it's an octave up from the 32-foot, like I was mentioning, and then I use the sawtooth, remember? And those are the same waveform choices, sawtooth wave. And then the third oscillator is my vibrato, so I can go, right? So the speed is here of that oscillator. And we go into the mixer and we have, very simple, both waveforms are full volume. So Oscillator 1 corresponds with this knob, Oscillator 2 corresponds with this knob, and they're both full volume. I'm cranking them. And the reason I'm doing that is because I like saturation. So I'm trying to get as much saturation out of this mixer as I can. And we did add more on the back end, which is after the synthesizer. So if you have a DAW or any kind of preamp, crank it a little and you hear there's some edge to it, right? Kind of breaks up a little. I think that's needed for this sound. Into the filter. Cutoff frequency all the way down to 0, which means we're getting the maximum action out of the envelope generator, the ADS envelope generator, attack, decay, and sustain. So now there are some critical settings, right? The attack time, it's a little bit slow. Here's what it sounds like with a fast attack. Here it goes, bow. Now I slow it. Subtle difference. There's the sharp attack, a little more talking. It's important. So you want to slow that attack a little, but not so much where it's going to be, because then you can't play in time. So big difference getting it right. Decay time is important as well because that's going to control that down slope. Right? If I go quicker, completely different sound. Or slower, I don't get it to talk. It's not doing anything. Getting it just right. And I talk to myself when I make these sounds. As I'm building them, I talk to the oscillators. And when I'm working in the filter, I'll go bow, bow, bow. So I'm like feeling it, in with the track. Sustain level is important because I'm holding the note. If I don't have sustain level, the note dies. you're only getting the action from the attack and decay. So you got to get the sustain up, and you can just kind of hold it and see where you want it to sustain. Right about there. And then the last component is the VCA, right? And it's pretty simple again. No attack time, full decay time, and full sustain. And basically it's just acting as a gate so that this filter action can just pass through the VCA and it colors the sound a little bit right out to the output mixer. And that's all there is to it, except the important part. There's a song involved, right? We've got a great sound, but we want to play the sound a little bit behind the beat. We want to be expressive. We want to add vibrato. We want to add some pitch bend. Right? So instead of going up to the E, I go. I could do that, or I could go. And then add a little vibrato. Then I have to get the pitch bend down. So I go up to the E, vibrato, bring the pitch bend back down, modulation up at normal speed. One more time. Now I had modulation on. So it shows you have to be aware of what's going on and get familiar with the wheels, right? So there's a little bit of interplay that takes some practice, but it's really important because it makes the sound expressive, it makes it talk, and it puts a smile on your face. And I think it makes this song, you know, it sounds like it's burning rubber with the distortion and the growl and the expression and a little bit of screaming. So what more can you ask for? Minimoog bass, a cool song, a repeating bass line, room for improvising, adding some fills, and something that you can basically simulate on almost any analog type of synth or plug-in that's, you know, with the same signal path as an analog synth. So you can do it there. So I hope you like this one. It's always fun to play bass sounds on synthesizer. And it's something that you guys can do on your plugins and other analog synthesizers. They're all a little bit different, as you heard in our intro. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. We need you. You mean a lot to us. And that's why I do it. That's why I'm here. So I read your comments, and the fact that the videos are resonating with so many, it just makes me want to do more. So please like and subscribe and follow us. And then also, if you want to dive deeper yourself and learn the method that I use, it's worked for me for 40 years. It's the one that I still use. It's how I trace the sounds so I don't get lost, and how I can make the sounds in my head, and how I can set the panels too before I make the sound, because I kind of know what it's going to do. So you want to be able to get into the 80% zone, and then you dial it in. And this all stemmed from me having to make sounds, you know, on a scoring stage with film composers, or on record dates when, you know, people are talking. I want to be ready. So I make the sounds, and then as soon as I play a note, I know, oh, I have to adjust the filter or the resonance or something. So I'm ready, and you can be ready if you study a little bit. And I put a lot of the stuff in the videos because it's a practical guide. It's not a technical guide to learning how to make the sounds in your head. And hopefully you can make your own legendary sounds, you know, because there's a whole future ahead. New music, synthesizers are the instrument of our day. So I hope you can check out the course and let me know what you think. Again, like and subscribe, and more fun stuff ahead. Stay tuned to the channel.